Hey y'all, it's Jason with NOLA Guy Travel. I just want to let you know literally in the heart of the French Quarter right now. It's been a day. It is very hot, not a lot of wind and not a lot of cloud cover, so the sun is absolutely pumping today. But I'm in the heart of the French Quarter, and I believe the heart of the French Quarter is Jackson Square. So that is where I'm at, and that's what we're going to talk about today. In my opinion, the heart of the French Quarter is Jackson Square. It was named Jackson Square in the 1900s. Before that, it was called Place d'Armes by the French when they were under rule, and then Plaza de Armas under the Spanish rule. It was named after Andrew Jackson, which during the War of 1812 against the British, he was a general. He's more recognized as being the 7th President of the United States. The exact date the original church was built is unclear, but it fell victim to the destructive fire of 1788. The current cathedral you see today was built shortly after. Only a few buildings in the French Quarter remain from the fire. But we know this square has been around since the French first occupied the area. The French founded New Orleans in 1718, and they had it through 1763, and then the Spanish occupied from 1763 to 1802. Then in 1803, one of the largest land purchases in history, over 500 million acres, was sold to the United States. It was signed in this next building. When looking at the cathedral, to the left of the cathedral is the Cabildo building, which was built shortly after 1788 and is still standing today. The historic significance is this was the home to the Spanish government while occupying New Orleans. Today it's a museum, and the city does different events in the building as well. The museum houses some unique artifacts from other countries and cultures that called New Orleans home at one point. For example, they have Napoleon's death mask. This mask was created after he died with a mixture of wax and plaster that was put on his face after he passed until it hardened to create the mask. Very creepy. On the opposite side, as you can tell, of the cathedral is the Presbytère. These buildings were designed to look similar. The Presbytère has the Catrini Museum. This was the grand piano that was at Fats Domino's house when the storm came through and destroyed it. It's worth a visit, and it's only $11 to enter. This is how they would check houses and make sure everyone can see the notes, and some of them are disturbing if you read them. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this Banksy piece, but Banksy had a piece here. Banksy is a graffiti artist that came to New Orleans after Katrina and did a lot of different work. So I have a video previously of some of his other work. If you get a chance, check it out. Some of his work is political in nature, but you kind of have to read between the lines to understand what it means. So if you're ever in New Orleans, please check out the museum. It is really educational. Flanked on both sides are the Pontalba buildings. These are the first apartment buildings in the United States. The architect was James Gallier, who is a famous architect and has a museum of his house that he built in the French Quarter, which in my opinion is a must-do. This long building you see here is the apartment building. The ground floor of those buildings houses shops and some bars and restaurants and things like that. Café du Monde flanks the corner, so you can always get a beignet and coffee. Jackson Square is another place where you can find some amazing art. So the city allows artists to actually put up their art. It has to be original, and the artist that actually did the work has to be the one that's selling the art. So you can go there, pick out a piece of art you like, talk to the actual artist, figure out why, or ask them questions as to why they created that art, how they created, whatever you want to ask them. But the cool thing is you have a personal relationship with the piece of art that you are purchasing if you do find art that you want to buy and it's in Jackson Square. You do get that personal relationship in other areas, but to have the artist actually selling you the piece of art that they made is kind of a big deal when it comes to the art industry and art market. And as you can tell, you have a lot of art to choose from. There are a lot of artists that are selling it, and this is on a Sunday afternoon. And there are 4 sides. We just walked down one side of the French Quarter. Each side has as much art on their side. And honestly, the prices compared to some galleries is a lot less. Either way, I love it because art is such a huge part of this community. Every area on top of that in Jackson Square has street performers. Yet there's nothing like getting up in the morning, leaving your hotel, walking over to Café du Monde and getting a beignet and coffee, and then listening to this. last thing I'll tell you is, besides all the other things you can do and the plethora of people watching, is grab a mule-drawn carriage ride. They're not long, they're not super expensive. I've done it about 10 times, depending on who I've come down to visit with or who I've actually had come visit me. But it's a great way to see some of the sights in the French Quarter. So doing it early in your trip is good because as the driver is hamming it up for you, you may see a site that you want to make sure you explore later. And doing it on your last day, you might see something and say, hey, I wish I would have known about this place before because we would have gone there. Or it gives you an excuse to come back and visit again. And to leave, you just head down Pirates Alley, which I love this little alleyway. It takes you to Royal Street, so that from there you can get back to whatever hotel you're staying at or wherever you are. Please enjoy the city, have fun, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like.